Ever notice how easy it is to start a conversation, but then it's like you hit a wall
Yeah.
and you're just kind of stuck trading basic facts?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So today we are going to deep dive into how to break past that surface level
Right.
and build conversations that actually, you feel connected to the person.
Absolutely.
And we've got some really interesting ideas from our sources
Yeah, some great stuff.
about how to do just that.
Looking forward to it.
So the first thing is we got to move beyond just asking question after question.
Yeah, rapid fire.
Like it's an interview.
Right.
Our sources talk a lot about what happens after someone answers you.
Right.
Like, let's say you find out the person is into engineering.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you go from there?
Well, instead of just moving on to the next question,
Yeah.
you can dig a little deeper.
Right.
Like maybe ask what first got them interested in engineering or what kind of engineering they're most excited about.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Even something like if they mention they like hiking, ask about their favorite trails or a really memorable hike they've been on.
Right, so you're getting them to share more than just a one-word answer.
Exactly. It's about opening up the conversation.
And it's not just about asking more questions, right?
No, it's not. It's a two-way street.
Yeah.
Our sources really emphasize sharing your own experiences,
Okay.
your own thoughts, even, relating to what they've said.
So how does that change things?
I think it creates that reciprocity.
Uh-huh.
Like when you open up a little bid-roll, it shows that you're actually interested in a real back and forth,
Gotcha.
not just, getting information from them.
Right, like an interrogation.
Exactly.
So it really is about building that rapport.
Yeah, for sure.
And I guess that's where really listening comes in.
100%.
So we're talking about more than just hearing the words, right?
Yeah. Tune into their tone, how enthusiastic they are, what seems to really light them up.
I like that.
And then you can reflect that back to them.
So, for example,
Something like, it sounds like you're really passionate about this part of engineering. It shows you're engaged, and it encourages them to keep talking.
which kind of naturally leads to finding common ground.
Yeah, totally.
It seems like conversations really take off when you discover you have something in common.
For sure. And it doesn't have to be this huge shared passion or anything.
Okay.
Could be, like you both have a strong opinion about a recent event, or maybe you've had similar experiences navigating campus life.
Right, or even just like a similar sense of humor.
Exactly. The key is to spot those little points of connection and then see where you can go from there.
So we're talking about moving from those basic questions
Yeah,
that sometimes can be kind of limiting to ones that open up more possibilities.
for sure.
What are some examples of those good open-ended questions?
Well, our sources suggest things like, what's the most interesting thing you've been thinking about lately?
Okay,
Or what are you looking forward to exploring?
I like those.
They invite people to give you more than just a one-word answer.
Right.
And they give you more to work with in the conversation.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Even a well-placed, how do you feel about
Oh, yeah.
a current event or something can spark a really interesting discussion.
Okay, so we've talked about the shift in what we ask.
Right.
And what about how those
Yeah.
conversational skills that keep things interesting?
Right.
Our sources mention storytelling.
Oh, yeah, that's a powerful one.
How so?
Sharing a relatable story about yourself makes you seem more human.
Uh-huh.
And it gives the other person's something concrete to respond to.
Okay.
Maybe they have a similar story.
I can see that.
And it helps build that connection.
And just the importance of showing you're present,
Right.
making eye contact, having engaged body language.
Those nonverbal cues speak volumes.
They really do.
And, our materials also talk about practice.
Okay.
Just like anything else. The more you engage in conversations,
Yeah,
the more comfortable you'll get.
that's good advice.
Yeah, just put yourself out there.
They also mention humor, but with a little word of caution.
Yeah, exactly. Humor can be a great connector,
For sure.
but you got to be mindful of the context in your audience.
Makes sense. Don't want to offend anyone.
Right. And then there's the idea of showing vulnerability.
Oh, that can be tricky.
It can be, but it can also be really powerful.
In what way?
When you share something genuine about yourself, in an appropriate way, of course,
Right.
it builds trust and encourages the other person to open up too.
Interesting.
And that can lead to a much deeper connection.
Okay, so the conversation's going well. What happens after that initial interaction?
Right. Well, our sources have some good ideas about keeping things going.
Okay.
Following up is key.
Like how?
If you talked about grabbing coffee, suggest a specific day and time.
Mm-hmm.
Or if you discovered a shared interest in hiking,
Yeah.
mention a trail you've been wanting to try and See if they'd be interested in going together.
I see. So you're giving them a concrete next step.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It shows you're serious about building that connection.
That's smart.
And engaging in activities together can really help too.
Like what?
Studying for a class together, joining a club related to a shared interest.
Right.
Those shared experiences provide natural opportunities for further interaction.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And don't underestimate the power of remembering small details.
From previous conversations.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
It shows that you were truly listening and that you value the other person.
Good point. But I guess it's also important to recognize that not every conversation is going to spark a lasting connection.
Yeah, that's true. You can't force it.
Right.
Some conversations just fizzle out.
And that's okay.
It is you can't connect with everyone.
Our sources give a great example of how to move from that standard, what's your major opener,
Yeah,
to something way more engaging.
it's a good one.
Yeah, they talk about using follow-up questions,
Mm-hmm.
sharing relevant experiences, and looking for that common ground.
It really illustrates the whole process.
Yeah, it shows how you can take a simple piece of information
Right.
and use it as a jumping off point
Exactly.
to explore someone's motivations, their interests.
And ultimately have a more meaningful exchange.
So it sounds like the key takeaway here is that building strong connections isn't about having some magic opening line.
It's not about that at all.
It's about being genuinely curious,
100%.
listening actively, and being willing to go beyond the superficial.
It's about making that effort to connect on a human level.
I love that. So for everyone listening out there, think about your next conversation.
Yeah.
What's one small adjustment you can make
Mm-hmm.
in how you approach it
Yeah.
to create a deeper connection?
I think that's a great question to think about.
Yeah, me too.
Definitely.
Awesome.
Thanks for having me.
This was great. Thanks for coming.